Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of Frenzy Freestyle Sunday with the children of Primus. Myself, Spin, who's here for the short moment while everyone jumps in momentarily. So just want to send a shout out to everyone who's been here and everyone coming in tonight. And also, Anthony, Mr. Fear of Courage, is not feeling well this evening, so we do send a get well soon, message to him. Hopefully, he's watching. A few ideas that he had for tonight, we're going to hold off until next week, and part of that was also going over the recent Hasbro Pulse live stream, which was a few days ago. And there's been a lot of mixed reviews about the recent releases of characters that they've put out, and a few that they're mentioning in the upcoming releases. Well, the one ongoing complaint was a lot of repaints of previous releases, which a lot of people have been complaining about for years, of essentially buying the same figure multiple times, just different colors, as opposed to featuring many other characters that have been overlooked over the years. Now, our main topic for this evening, we're going to feature an AI that one of our other members has brought to my attention, that a lot of people have been slowly moving towards, or slowly getting to know about. And it's basically an artificial intelligence where you can feed or input it information, and it in turn gives you results for the information that's being fed to it. I was able to try it out for a few times, and I'll get into more details in around the 9 p.m. time, when more of us are on and we start featuring questions that we are going to ask the AI to see if it's able to give us a response that we're looking for, or if it understands the questions that we're inputting into it. So within that time, while we're waiting for everyone to jump in, I will quickly go over some of the news of recent weeks. One of our news items, which has been supplied via our website, childreofprimus.com, is the first look at Rise of the Beast, Voyager class Rhinox, and Optimus Prime. Now, I do recall that there's been a lot of comedic responses in terms of the Rhinox toy and the transformation. So I know it's something I've seen across many of the groups out there, in terms of making fun of his animal mode and the placement of his cannon. So from the news that we have, this must have been fun for a Taiwanese fan. Both Voyager class Rhinox and Optimus Prime were found for sale in Taiwan, and the pictures of the sightings were uploaded to Facebook. And these are not part of the Studio Series line, but rather part of the main line, which we've been seeing a lot lately. And some of the previous toys we saw pulled from previous toys, you think it's the same Rhinox. And how about Optimus? Well, the full story is on cybertron.com, so I know we'll be able to get more details about that. And let's see, what else do we have? When first look at Transformers Rise of the Beast Alliance packaging. And thanks to Twitter user AZALBEN, then we can share for you our first look at the recently revealed Transformers Rise of the Beast Alliance toy line. The packaging of this kid-focused main line of toys. Let me zoom in on that. There, of the packaging of this kid-focused main line of toys for the Transformers Rise of the Beast movie follows the new Hasbro free plastic policy. Open window in boxes and blisters. The design features Inca design all over it. Very nice presentation indeed. And see the images after the break and let us know your impressions. And this is from the 2005 board. So let's see what else we have. Legacy Minerva in stock at walgreens.com. So as the article states, we thank fellow Cybertronian Saberblade for letting us know that walgreens.com has Minerva in stock now. And this should help American fans who either don't have a Walgreens near them or don't want the hassle of looking everywhere all the time for one. And it seems to be available on the website for $24.99, and that's in a US pricing, which many of us in Canada, we joke that that's probably going to be $60 after a conversion and plus shipping. And here we have over 25 new Transformers Rise of the Beast toys revealed, which I did see a few of these images floating around in the different groups, in the different Transformer groups online. So we have a lot of news to get through. While none of what we will show below targets older fans, maybe with the exception of the Jada products, it is fun to finally see all the Transformers Rise of the Beast products that will be coming to shelves this year. And through IGN, we got the reveal of the Battle Changers, Beast Weaponizers, Beast Combiners, and Beast Battle Masters. So these are just a few of the images that are available for the Rise of the Beast line, which I believe is coming out, later this year. And that explains why a lot of the toy line is finally being released, which initially the one issue was with the delay with movie releases and everything. The initial set of toys were designed, then the movie was delayed, and now we have a whole other line of toys being designed. And I believe on top of the delay from COVID, there was like a few other issues as well, which I know Anthony has more in-depth knowledge on the reason of the pushback. But we do know that the movie is coming out for this year, so we'll see what other toys are available as well as the build up towards the movie. And another reveal from Pulse Stream includes Metal Hawk, Crash Bar, Shrapnel, and more. And as Professor D on YouTube says, those Rise of the Beast figures actually look like fun kids toys, which is true. Okay? I mean, some figures are designed for the older fans, some for in between, and some exclusively for children. Which initially Transformers was designed for children, many years ago. But many of those children are now adults, so we've redesigned a lot of characters to not only give them more of the cartoon aesthetics, but to make them, in a sense, more sophisticated in terms of design quality, intricate design within it in terms of mobility, and just making them fun characters to collect and have on their shelf. As Professor D said, he will be here at 9 p.m. So we'll be expecting to see him as well as everyone else. He does say that, Professor D on YouTube does say those legend Dinobots look embarrassing. And I believe, and I mean, could be corrected on this, that I believe these Dinobots are a part of a combiner series that people only found out about afterwards. Because the robot mode looks okay, but I do recall seeing the Grimlock's dinosaur mode, which was pretty bad. So let's see, some more news to go through. So Transformers Legacy, Metal Hawk, and Twin Cast revealed. And this is thanks to Big Bad Toy Store. We have news that those who managed to get in a pre-order for Legacy Voyager class Twin Cast and Metal Hawk prior to the listings being taken down have given a sneak peek at both figures' robot mode. And Twin Cast is a straightforward repaint of Blaster and Headmaster's Twin Cast colors, complete with his gun and rewind to complement the original eject. Notably, this is the first generation's update for Twin Cast, unlike Sound Blaster, who has remained obscure. And officially licensed Transformers smartwatch. And I've seen a lot of debates about this watch as well, where people were more so complaining in terms of the price of the watch, which then everyone counter complained that if this watch is designed for children and is at the price point of $300, some are saying it's too much, but then at the same time saying, well, when we buy children iPhones, Xbox, PlayStations that are the same price or even double or triple the price, what is the difference? Although not many people would really buy a $300 watch for a child, that is an understandable statement, or sentiment, I should say. A lot of the older fans, in a sense, are more in tune with the original Transformer watch from the early 80s, and it would be cool to get that as a smartwatch design. And Transformers Masterpiece MP57 Skyfire in-hand images. And we have our first in-hand images of the highly anticipated masterpiece MP57 Skyfire, which has started shipping in Asia. And thanks to multiple Twitter users that were able to supply the images for Skyfire. And the article says that the new in-hand images of this impressive new cartoon accurate masterpiece rendition of Skyfire showing off the box. And we're talking about a big box, content instructions, alt mode, robot mode, and featuring a magnetic faceplate gimmick, posability, comparison pics, and with other masterpiece figures, Siege Jetfire, and HasLab Victory Saber. And Skyfire seems to be the tallest official masterpiece toy. And Professor D from YouTube says, I am so in for an update or just a reissue of the 80s transforming watch, which it'd be cool. And actually, I'd be cool with just tracking down the original version of the watch too, because just for nostalgia's sake, and just because it's a cool watch. Someone would be like, "Oh, that's a cool watch. I used to have that years ago." I'm like, "Well, got it now." Professor D says, definitely in for the MP Jetfire. So, when you jump on, we're gonna talk more about the Jetfire, or Skyfire as they call it. And Stephen Brock on YouTube says it's the first I've heard of that watch, and mentioning the new one and not the old one. Yes, the news of the watch was just released, I believe, like a few days ago. So it's it's the watch itself, and people speaking about it is still slowly going around the different groups and everything. And as a Professor D on YouTube has said to Steven, ditto, I want to like the smartwatch, but I'm sure it will be trash. And it's we shouldn't have an opinion on it before it comes out, but I have a feeling we probably do already have an idea of of how this watch is going to play out in terms of sales and reliability and usability, which is actually the most important. And we also have Transformers Magnificus and Buzzworthy Studio Series 44 Leader Optimus Prime, found in Canada. And we did speak about this character before its release, like not too long ago. As we have two sightings for Canadian Transformers fans. The Toys R Us exclusive Buzzworthy Bumblebee Studio Series 44 Leader Class Dark of the Moon Optimus Prime is that the longest name of Transformers release you've ever had, has been spotted at multiple Toys R Us stores across the country. And if you plan to call any of the Toys R Us ahead of time, they also mentioned the SKU number 652660 if you want to call ahead and see if it's at the stores. So again, this is for Canadian Toys R Us fans. And this information is supplied through childreofprimus.com. And actually another look at a Voyager Rise of the Beast character, Cheetor, from Transformers Studio series line. So as the article states, as with Air Razor, most characters in the upcoming Rise of the Beast film will get toys in both the Rise of the Beast toy line and the Studio Series toy line. And now we have a first look at a Studio Series Voyager class Cheetor. And it borrows nothing from the Kingdom counterparts and is a fully new mold with a design harkening back to Beast machines. And the toy will be up for pre-order later today, which, let's see, this came out on the 24th, so it should be available online for order and through Amazon. RJ Eagle was saying to Professor D, "Oh yeah, true, Professor D. They got to remake that watch for sure. They had so many knockoffs of that watch back in the day. Can't wait to see this new version." He's currently commuting, so he'll probably jump on a little bit later in the comments section. So let's get one more item on here. So this was Fear of Courage's most recent review. And it is Kingdom Mirage. So here's the image in his robot mode. And a cat friend in the background. We can see that as Anthony has made a comparison between two versions of Mirage. Mr. Calvin has said a bobcat in the background. You see, this cat does wish that she were a bobcat. Well, the one thing I will say that is interesting with this Mirage, if I can zoom in on it a bit, is the wheels. And basically, the design of the wheels are somewhat of like older toys, and I believe like some of the earlier Transformers in terms of the metal pin in the wheels and the design of the wheels like around it. And good evening, Charlie.
Hello, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Oh, can't complain.
I know what you mean. So everyone's just kind of trickling in a little bit later this evening.
All right. Can you hear me just pretty good?
Yeah, everything's good.
Okay.
Oh, and we also have Toy Warp Vintage reviews in the house.
Hello.
Hey guys, what's going on?
Not a whole lot.
Actually, let me just adjust my background here for a second. There we go. So one more comment. The blue, green, and white and black versions were from Machine Wars. The classic decos from Robot Masters. Which, now are you speaking of Mirage or a different character? From Stephen Brock on YouTube. Well, Charlie, any new Transformers that you've received this week?
Recently got this guy. He was on sale through Big Bad Toy Store.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Which version or I guess name would he go under?
Oh, that's obviously First Aid, but there's the box. MMC.
Nice.
And it's an all-in-one combiner. I can't wait to get the rest of them now.
Okay. Now is there, I guess, the other 4 Protectobots you're getting as well?
Yes. Yeah, that's the plan.
Okay.
I was trying to avoid going down that rabbit hole, but seen them on sale, and I was like, I had to get them. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that's gonna be a pretty big defensor once, just from that size, the size of that First Aid.
Yeah, the arm probably is about basically that, just with the hand on it.
Okay.
So, even though they say they're a little bit smaller than X-Trans bots or whatever, I think it'll be pretty decent size, hopefully.
Where'd you say they were available?
They had a 1-day sale at BBTS, Big Bad Toy Store. And it was like $69. And I was like, wow, can't beat that.
What else cool you got to show us this week?
Sorry.
I don't have much of there's things I've been debating on getting, but they'll probably take a while to get here. I was thinking about getting the Gen Bao Devastator because it came out with that upgrade set.
Okay, with your collection, what is the focus of your collection?
I try to go for mostly G1 stuff, but I've been venturing out. Now that you mentioned it, I recently got the EX9 Hot Rod. I kind of like that style, something a little different.
Anthony would be proud.
Yep.
But I like the G1 stuff. I always seem to come back to the G1 aesthetic, like that perfect cartoon look.
So when you say G1, are you going to the original G1s, like what's behind me, or are you going like the G1, just aesthetic toys, but newer toys?
The aesthetic toys, newer.
Gotcha.
Looks like the cartoon. I picked up the Starscream recently. I ran across that one at Walmart. And I was trying to get that one online and kept getting the runaround and happened to walk in the store and there it was. And I was like,
are you talking about the new one out of the '86 movie?
Yes. Yep.
I kind of want that.
Let me see if I can find it. It's pretty interesting. It's like I'm afraid of opening the box because I've been hearing horror stories about it. People missing wings and that sort of thing. But really like the box though.
Oh yeah, that's nice. That's wild.
Yeah.
And wild
Just
too
the
that it
look
would
of it
come
looks
out
really
on not an anniversary year of the movie. It's the timing on it is just a little weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I would agree on that one. And then, like, I haven't seen the hot rod. I've been seeing everybody get it, but I haven't been able to get my hands on one or order one or anything.
Well, again, that whole distribution in terms of how to where does toys are supplied like throughout the country. It's like you see some states and some cities they're getting a ton of figures, while meanwhile everyone else is like we're not getting any stock of those figures here.
Right. Oh yeah. Like because I live next to Omaha, and I could go to Omaha Target or Walmart, and they'll have like boxes and boxes and boxes of a figure I've been looking for. In my little town of Bellevue, like we got 2 Walmarts within like a 30-minute drive, and they won't have anything. And it's like, can they not spread this out a little bit more? But I guess
Exactly.
Spread the wealth, guys.
Yep.
You know what's really weird is I live in Florida. It's just one big retirement community, and obviously there's not a whole lot of the demographic down here that collects that stuff new out of the store. When Cosmos was really hard to find in the stores, I could throw a stone and hit a Walmart that had 10 of them, just because there's no one down here that were buying them.
Wow.
Now I think
Oh,
I talked to someone that worked at Walmart, just a regular associate, and they said that after a while that they would pull them off the shelves. After a good while, they'd pull them off the shelves and have to actually ship them back to a distribution center for them to be sold online. So
interesting.
that's what I was told.
wow. I remember when I was a kid looking for He-Man and going down to Sarasota because I lived in Bradenton. And it wasn't very far, but I begged my mom to drive down to Sarasota, which was like a 15-minute drive, just to get the He-Man, and they had plenty of them all over the place.
Yeah. So you understand what I'm preaching? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You get what I'm clucking, big chicken.
Right.
Stephen Brock on YouTube says, I'm receiving Energon, Jetfire, and Rodimus tomorrow. And Primetime Stephen Joyce on YouTube says there are 6 Legacy Minervas at my Walgreens.
Oh wow. I gave up on Walgreens.
I saw one of the Transformer groups on Facebook. I saw somebody picking up a bunch of stuff at Walgreens that was on sale too. I don't remember what the characters were because it's not original G1s. I don't really pay a lot of attention. Mm-hmm. But yeah, who would have thought that Walgreens would ended up being someplace that you would be looking for new release toys?
It's true. Like those odd stores, they just kind of jump in on the market and are like, okay, if the main stores are doing it, let's just try to jump in a bit on this too. Which let's see. Calvin said the resellers and scalpers destroyed the collectors market.
Oh, you think it's a problem with new toys? Try doing it with the old toys.
Well, because I remember the earlier years of eBay, just browsing through it and looking for for like a couple Transformers, either that we didn't have or just for the fun of seeing like what the pricing were for characters we had. And I remember the complete set of Predaking was going for like $900 at the time, which I don't know if it's more or less now, but just at that time we're like $1,000 for Predaking. But that's in a sense you're only finding it on eBay because there wasn't the AliExpress and Amazons and like all the other and big bad toy stores. Like those options didn't exist yet.
The G1 Predaking, the plastic version nowadays will go for around $1,000, but you catch the die-cast version, which I have, and it's a little bit more ridiculous. My wallet!
He's screaming.
Oh, I could
So
have.
here's something. I was going to say something I found out about the Red Toe Optimus Prime. That's new to me, but I guess it was a variant only released in Europe. And now I'm like, I gotta have that one.
Oh,
I guess
good luck.
yeah, I know. Like, yeah, I was like, I went down that rabbit hole. I shouldn't even looked into it. But,
Well, I mean, once you start collecting the variants of, G1 or any toy line, you start looking at European variants, you start looking at Middle Eastern variants, and you start looking at the South American variants, which are the most rare of them all.
Mm-hmm.
oh wow.
Yeah, it's only in the recent years that am I noticing all the South American variants and the variants for the other regions where, being in Canada and kind of having the US market connection, we're kind of brought up on like, these are the characters, these are the colors, and there may be like one or two variations, not realizing there's like 4, 5, 6 variations in all the different countries, and it's only now like people are like releasing those images.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of those, I guess, a lot of the toys in South America, the few that have survived over the years, there weren't a whole lot sold to begin with because it's just not as well off economically as say the US or Canada or even Europe. So there was a lot less of those toys sold down there. So when you're looking for South American variants, man, that's the problem that you're going to run into. It's just not a whole lot of them out there.
Right. So Stephen Brock on YouTube says, I just paid for Minerva on eBay for around $50 at the start of January. And Calvin on YouTube also says $900 for Predacons. Wow. And Stephen Brock says, Bird, $900. Thank God I ain't into combiners or otherwise Titans. Well, I mean, I could see even other single characters going for like extreme prices other than say the combiner prices. Let's see, that's a cool collection.
Yeah, nice.
Mm-hmm.
What I was hoping to get there was Predacons.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's thank you for the compliment of the collection. You guys reviewed it. After all, you did the live review on it, man. That was hilarious.
That was quite an episode.
Yeah.
I think we'll have to get back to one of those again one day.
Yes, those are absolutely fun. I would love to join in on one of those.
Cool. So actually, yeah, before we get to the main topic, because I know everyone's kind of all over the place, so they'll kind of be in at 9 p.m. But I know on your channel, Toy Warp Vintage Reviews, I was able to catch the video on Bigfoot, which was very interesting. Nice.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I managed to find the entire line still boxed.
Oh, nice.
Not in sealed box, but they all still have the they all still have the boxes instructions. Some of them have sticker sheets that haven't been applied.
Nice.
And so funny, we were talking about the variants on these. There are European and South American variants on these as well.
Seriously?
And on top of that, Hasbro actually bought the company like mid-run of these trucks. So you've got not only foreign variants of the Bigfoots in the boxes and everything, but then you have the variant of the Play School, actually being Play School company, and then you have variants of it being a subsidiary of Hasbro.
Interesting.
Hasbro until all are one.
Yeah, because I mean, like watching the video, it's actually hold on one moment. Yeah, there's a guy. In a sense, I forgot about that toy, but it brought back a lot of memories. But then I was gonna say, from Bigfoot, like I recall him being the first, and then it just branched out to a lot of monster trucks between the only other one I remember by name offhand was Gravedigger. But I remember like a lot of like monster trucks just came in, and even some were better than Bigfoot at for some years.
Bigfoot was the first. Bigfoot did the very first car crush at the Pontiac Silverdome, 1981, I believe it was.
Wow.
And it was such a big deal. They actually did it at a big like tractor pull and motocross event, but it was such a big deal that everyone went so crazy over it that the fans flooded the field and got up around the truck. And actually, the driver of the truck, Bob Chandler, couldn't go any further because all these people had like mobbed the field and wanted to see Bigfoot up close. Yeah,
that's crazy. And when also what you were saying with the pull, I recall there were some toys. Which I believe it may have been Bigfoot, but there were some monster truck toys that had the pulling mechanism behind it.
Okay, this is Orange Crush, or Orange Blossom, rather. Another one. This goes in the same line, and he is actually built to pull the sleds. Now, I've got the sled and everything in the box, too, but that's all put away. These are the only things I've got on display. But yeah. The pole sled that was an accessory for these toys, actually separate box on its own, like I said, but it also goes behind the monster trucks. The monster trucks all have the hitches on them, just like the pole truck does, and they all can pull the sled. Yeah,
nice. That's cool.
Yeah, it's actually a really big, massive line. I think there's 8 major pieces to it. There's 4 vehicles. And then 4 like accessory sets. The pole trailer is one of them.
Okay.
It's also got a performance center where if you turn the truck on, you set the truck on the performance center, and you turn the truck on, the wheels of the truck actually raise up the performance center, and as it raises, you can see underneath the truck, see what it's doing, it's got like little gauges and stuff on it that tell you what the truck's doing. Not really, but play gauges that would tell you what a dyno would be doing.
Right. That's cool. That is so cool.
Oh. So what was your question though?
Well, actually, it was just kind of a series of questions in terms of Bigfoot. In terms of the pull and just of the other characters, did they release other monster truck toy characters like aside from Bigfoot within the Hasbro line?
Yeah, like I said, it started off with the Orange Blossom, which was an actual pull truck. Then the other truck available was a Chevy Scottsdale named Black Gold. And then there was another pole vehicle with a Corvette body on it.
Okay.
Yeah, Warlord. That's the most rare of the 4 vehicles.
Interesting. Okay.
Now, funny enough, I don't know how far you got into the video, but funny enough, Sunbow actually did the Bigfoot and the Muscle Machines cartoon at the same time, that they were doing, Transformers and G.I. Joe. And if you've ever seen the cartoon, I'm pretty sure that if they worked an 8-hour day, Wally Burr, the voice director, probably had them on Transformers for 4 hours, G.I. Joe for 3 hours and 45 minutes. And I'm pretty sure they did Bigfoot on their lunch break because it didn't age well.
And I gotta go back and watch it now, especially where you pointed out that like what were they chasing again? Like
the Fountain of Youth.
Yeah, like out of all things.
Oh man, it's so funny too because Frank Welker's in it. Chris Latta, you can hear Starscream / Cobra Commander in the characters that he plays. It's so wild.
Wow.
You close your eyes and you can just kind of picture everything in the same universe. It's really wild that he did not. It's like I had to stay in Transformers or G.I. Joe guys for 7.5 hours today. You wanted me to do this 10-minute clip for this cartoon about some monster truck. I'm not bothering, Shane. You know, this is above my pay grade. Yeah, you're getting the same voice, okay?
That is funny, but I mean, it's surprising they would come out with it in '85, because Mask also came out with their cartoon in '85, and a lot of cartoons that came out in '85 just kind of fell off because that was Transformers' high point. So it was like they were not able to compete.
Yeah, that, and I remember too. Once, I think Masters of the Universe started in '85, didn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, yeah. Once He-Man came out, that's all anybody talked on the playground. That's all anybody talked about. I was like, hey, don't you guys still like Transformers? You bunch of traitors, you know.
Well, it's funny for like growing up, like where I grew up in parts of Toronto, it was between G.I. Joe and Transformers, but more people were G.I. Joe and just few of us were Transformers.
Yeah, I kind of had that same thing too. Those were the two big ones until He-Man came out, and then no one could shut up about He-Man.
Like I remember, well, at least when I growing up in Florida, He-Man came out first. I remember once Transformers hit, and that's all I dealt with. And I was done with He-Man because it's like they're the same characters, just repainted. Somebody's gonna shoot me for that,
but wait, hold on. FBI, can you call off that hit? He already knows we're going. All right, thanks. Over.
Good evening, Bill.
How are we, guys?
Oh man, what's this guy want?
He went for He-Man.
I found out Bill is a fibber. Oh? I found out Bill's a fibber. Hold on, I have to demonstrate.
Uh-oh.
There we go. Well, while he's hold on, hold that thought. Professor D on YouTube says, I saw the ad for the Bigfoot cartoon as a kid, but never got to see the show. Was excited for it at the time. Maybe Spin and I should watch it to do a reaction video. And he also says, I think He-Man came out first, like '83. No,
I don't think He-Man was that early. Voltron wasn't even that early.
I think Voltron may have been '83, either '82 or '83.
I think it was '84.
Because I do remember watching it before
it was '84.
Transformers kicked in. I
think it came out, I think it was like a summer cartoon. I don't think it was a fall release like Transformers was.
Okay.
I think it was a summer release, but it was definitely out before Transformers, but I still believe it was '84.
Maybe the earlier part.
Yeah.
So He-Man came out in September 5th, 1983.
Okay.
Yeah. But I might have, because I remember, I think they had the toys out before they had the cartoon, I want to say. Don't quote me. And then, let's see about Voltron.
See how good my history is.
I do have to step away for about 10 minutes, so I'm going to leave you guys to take over control for a moment.
Uh-oh. Get the alcohol out. So September 10th, 1984, Voltron came out.
It's a Matchbox product. I probably knew a little bit more about it than I did He-Man.
Yeah. Huh.
So, yeah, Bill, your voice, huh?
You need to go see the doctor about that.
Totally fibbing. I said, how is it you doing the voice? Does it have something? And I asked, does it have something in the helmet or like that? And he's like, oh, no, it's just my voice. I just do this with my voice. You fibber.
It doesn't have a voice synthesizer, does it?
Do what?
Mine doesn't have a voice synthesizer.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. You didn't read the instructions.
Uh-oh. I lost sound.
I think you went quiet.
I am Megatron, leader of the Decepticons. I mean, it has just talking things.
Oh no, okay, I'm sorry, not a voice synthesizer. I asked you that night that you put it on that if what helmet making the noise? Because I didn't have it yet. Was it the helmet making the noise, or was it you talking inside of the helmet?
No, it was just me talking inside of the helmet, just lowering my voice really gravelly like this.
Oh, okay. Well, what I remember you saying was the same stuff that the helmet was saying. So I didn't remember you doing that with your voice. I thought you were fibbing to me.
Oh no, it doesn't have a voice synthesizer.
Right. So it was you. Okay. I stand corrected then. I called you out and I got called out then. So
it does. The universe is mine.
Like I'm holding them up proud, like they're my boobs or something. Yeah.
Like they're your kids.
I scored these at a thing called RetroCon for $50 a piece recently, boxes and all.
Nice.
Wow.
So I was going to ask you guys, was that a good price? I mean, I talked them down, but
I don't know what my son gave for the Megatron one. He got it for me for my birthday.
Okay.
And then when I found out there was more of them, I went online and I found it's a game, like a video game store.
GameStop.
It was a GameStop online that was like in Virginia somewhere, and they had it on clearance. And I think I gave like $52 and had to pay like $12 shipping on it.
Wow. I've seen them on sale for like $78.
Huh. Okay.
But Optimus Prime you can't get a hold of.
No,
there is okay. So there is a Prime one then.
Yeah. There's like 100
somewhere.
They're going to make more. There's rumor that there's a Starscream, Shockwave, and I think it was either Jazz or Ironhide on the Autobot side, and definitely Bumblebee, of course. But whether it's going to be the Bumblebee that we know as G1s, or if it's going to be Bumblebee from the movie, who knows? Are either one of you all on Liberated? Transformers Liberated?
Is a Facebook group or?
I'm not.
Yeah, it's a Facebook group that does a lot of sales, and they have a real big discussion group in there, and that's where I find out most of my stuff.
Yeah, I try to avoid anything online that's selling Transformers because my budget's only so big. It's just I eliminate the temptation.
Oh, I got you. Uh-oh.
So that's probably why I don't know anything about the group. Yeah.
I still got my. Need to turn that off. I was gaming before I came on. Disconnect.
So they got on Amazon, you can pick up the Optimus Prime helmet, but it's $149.
Yeah, they're proud of it.
Yeah.
Out of stock.
So, where are you located at?
I'm in Sarasota, Florida.
Sarasota, Florida. And my sister lives in Lake City. I don't know how close that is. I don't know Florida at all. I know Lake City is just inside the Georgia border.
Yeah, that's a good 7 hours north of me, but I know where it's at.
Okay, so you're down on the peninsula?
I'm about an hour south of Cuba, which is West Coast.
I'm on call tonight, so I've got to monitor all my shit. And that's where I was at last week. We got called into the water plant and had to go in and make sure a valve didn't kill everybody.
That would be counterproductive.
Yeah. Yeah, when you're messing with a 75-year-old plant and they start turning stuff on and off that hasn't been turned off in 50 years, the things get hairy.
Oof.
Isn't that exciting?
As long as it's the clean water plant, I don't have a problem with it. It's when we have to go to the turd plant that's...
Turd plant?
Oh, yeah. Well, the company that I work for takes care of all the fresh water and the dirty water in the area.
They ever cross the lines?
They're right across the street from each other, actually.
One pipe gets connected wrong. Somebody's
right.
turn talking to
like This water tastes kind of funny.
This water tastes chalky. Wait, how do you know that?
It's kind of chewy.
So I wonder what Spin's going to get back from his hot date.
Have they got into the AI tonight yet?
Not yet. We were killing some time talking about Bigfoot the monster truck because he managed to catch a video that was on my channel that I did a review on the original toy from '83. Do what?
I had one of those.
Did you?
Way back in the day, yeah. I was a big Bigfoot fan.
Yeah. And then Orange Blossom.
Oh yeah, the Orange Blossom Special, baby.
Yeah, I've got them all. I managed to find them all boxed.
And, there was a third one, if I'm not mistaken.
There's 4.
Because there was 4. I was going to say, because I had one, my cousin had one, and they were different. But I know that I had Bigfoot, but he didn't have Orange Blossom.
He either had Black Gold, which was a Chevy Scottsdale, or Warlord, which was a Corvette, and it was a Polar.
Yeah, that's what he had.
Warlord.
I was going to say, I was wanting to think it was a car. God, it was a long time ago, man.
We were talking a lot about the cartoon too, where it was also a Sunbow production, and they were doing it at the same time they were doing Transformers. If they spent 8 hours a day in the recording booth, they spent 7.5 hours on Transformers and G.I. Joe, and about 20 minutes on Bigfoot on their lunch break because the voice acting in it was so bad. Because if you remember, there was an original cartoon.
I actually remember watching it, but I couldn't tell you what it was about.
Monster truck.
Where I grew up, I live in the sticks, man. We just now got internet. Okay, this past year was the first time that we've ever had anything other than dial-up where I live at. When I say I live in the sticks, I mean it's not the end of civilization, but you can see it from the roof. I'm out here. And so Saturday mornings was, if we didn't have crops to bring in, I grew up on a farm. That's what I did. I watched cartoons. That was my one day to get to watch TV, because other times it was go to school, come home, go to work. Go to school, come home, go to work. And so I didn't get to do too much afternoon stuff until I got to high school, and then I got in. I found women and football and all that other fun stuff.
All that other fun stuff. Yeah.
Leads you down the wrong road.
Yeah, no, not out here. No, my dad. The first time I got into a fight at school, I was scared. I was more scared of my father than I was scared of anything else. Because Dad always told me, I've always been a bigger guy, and I was always told if I get to a fight in school, I'm gonna get twice as bad when I get home. I'm there to learn, be respectful, just let it. So I took a lot of shit. Other than the football field, I was kind of a what they would call a marshmallow. I was a big guy, but I was a pushover because I just took it. I just took it. And I just took it. And this one weekend, my girlfriend was killed in a car wreck. And I didn't find out about it until I got to school on Monday. I was just like, is she breaking up with me? How come she hasn't called, And when I get to school and I find out, I was just in a funk, and our class bully was messing with me. And that was the wrong day to do that. And I tried to push it off. And as I was trying to go into class, he grabbed me by the side of my head and slammed it into the door frame. And I threw my books into the class, and I turned around and I grabbed him by the belt, and I one arm chucked him into the 4th row of desks. And I went through there like an angry child scattering toys, boy. If you was between me and him, you were moved. And I didn't want a piece of it. I wanted the whole thing. And of course, after it was all said and done, I'm sitting up there in the principal's office, and I'm going, oh my God, my dad is going to kill me. He is absolutely going to kill me. I'm going to be suspended. And so Dad comes and picks me up, goes back, talks to the principal, who's a good friend of the family. He comes out and looks at me, and he goes, ready to go to work? Yes, sir. Go get your car. Follow me out to to the back pasture and let's get going. And so for 2 of my 3 days suspended, I'm waiting for this to happen. When's this beating going to happen? When's the belt coming out? And it never did. And I finally told him, I said, Dad, we got to do this. You're killing me, making me wait. It's got to happen. It's got to happen now. And he said, what's got to happen? I said, you always told me it's going to be twice as bad when I got home if I ever fought in school. He goes, I never told you couldn't defend yourself. You mean I've been taking this shit for 10 fucking years?
Just about to say something to that effect, yeah.
You just now tell me that there's a clause installed in this that I don't have to take the shit?
My son kind of went through the same thing, but I told him early. He was in 5th grade because these kids kept messing with him because he was the bigger kid. And they kept messing with him. They'd like kick his books and everything and knock him out of his hand and try to choke him and everything else. And I was like, you're taking Taekwondo and you're a head taller than them. I was like, don't hold back. If they mess with you, they do something, go after them. And he's like, oh, I'm afraid of getting in trouble. And I told the principal, I said, these kids keep messing with him. I said, he's not going to do anything until if they do something to him. I told him to retaliate. And lo and behold, they did something, and he went off on them. He didn't do much, but he was scary enough to where they stopped right away. And they never messed with him after that, and he became a superstar, and everybody wanted to hang out with him, be his best friend. It was funny. It was hilarious.
That's what happened to me. Like I said, I was friends with every clique in my school, everything, but I didn't hang out with any of them.
Right.
I mean, I had my select few friends, but I never really was cliquey, everything. But after that happened, I became like our school's anti-bully. If you had a problem, they came to me. I was like the enforcer. Because like I said, I was one of the bigger guys, and I didn't put up with bullying shit.
Yeah.
I know. But my 2 kids, my son was opposite of me. He was the smallest kid in his class. And in his junior year, he grew 1.5 feet and put on about 70 pounds of muscle. And now he's the tallest kid in our family anyway. He's about 6'2". I'm 5'10".
Wow.
But my daughter, she clobbered a girl at the local swimming place and bit her in the face because she didn't want to be bullied anymore. So she got the nickname the Piranha, and everybody just kind of stayed away from her. You got to be pretty unhinged to bite somebody in the face.
Mm-hmm.
But if that's all you got, that's all you got. I was proud of her.
So
sorry, Phil, we got off subject there.
It's okay. I kind of relate to exactly what you're saying, where it's like I remember being in school too, and it's like me being 6'3", or already being one of the big tall kids. There was a few handful of us that were the big tall kids that, if trouble ever came about, like everyone's running behind us. But there's always that odd person that they just want to like bother you for no reason whatsoever, and you try to let it go. Eventually you just got to deal with the situation. And what I found funny, one guy kept bothering me. The teachers even were ready to laugh, and they're like, just don't mess with him, he's bigger than you. And I basically had to pick him up and body slam him one day, and I'm like, just leave me alone. And then he came back and he's like, I'm going to come back at you on Monday if I'm still hurting. And I'm like, I just threw you across the room. Like, you're coming back at me. But I mean, it's the whole high school macho thing, because many people we fight, that we fought in school and stuff, you run into them years later, everyone's cool. It's like, hey, how's it going? How's your family? But yeah, I guess there are some they still think they're in high school.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The one in particular that I just told these guys about, and of course, he's our local drug dealer.
Wow. Okay.
So he stayed on that side of the tracks.
Got it.
And that was just the life that he was brought into. It's his whole family was like that.
Got it. So let me
So you have drug dealers out at the edge of the world. Okay, that's good to know.
Oh yeah, man, we're like the meth capital of the United States, where I live.
Oh, you got to be Midwest somewhere then.
Yeah, well, we're corn farmers. That's where they get their anhydrous.
So where are you at then?
Southern Indiana.
Oh yeah, I'm from Ohio. Yeah, I know. Yep.
We're about in Ohio.
Unfortunately, Mansfield.
Okay. I was born in Springfield, Ohio, like 10 minutes from Dayton.
Oh, Dayton. That's where my race car's stuck right now, and I can't get it back. Yeah.
I got some friends, some family there.
The home office of the company I work for is based out of Cincinnati.
Yeah, not a
there.
place to be.
Stephen Beck is in Dayton, Ohio.
And let's see. The comments all says Florida is awesome. Used to live in Jacksonville, Florida. Actually, I know a few people. I believe they're still in Jacksonville. And Professor D says he wishes he were in Florida right now. Said he got mauled by the bobcat.
I have one that lives outside my house.
Wow. Okay.
And it's creepy, man. When you go walking at night, you hear that.
Yeah.
Nope. I got a pit bull. She's a big softball, but I got a pit bull. I'm not hanging around no place where there's a cat that can take my dog.
These things are only about the size of a beagle hound, and they will shred you. I mean, just absolutely destroy you.
Wow.
In Florida, they got alligators that climb fences.
What? Oh, yeah, but they're cute, and they just want to hug you. No to that big smile. Alligators are harmless. Seriously, you really have to mess with a gator for them to retaliate and do anything to you. Otherwise, they're just minding their own business, and they don't care about you. There ain't enough meat on your body for them to care.
Wow.
All right.
I've walked right up to gators. It's no big deal.
Yeah, with a gator, you just got to watch out for that mouth.
Yes.
With a bobcat, you got to watch out for all
the
four
mouth
paws and the
paws.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And they can damn near do that honey badger thing where they turn around in their own skin.
Oh, okay. Shiba Kobe says, wow. Calvin Carpenter says, UFC fights. And he also says, alligators are awesome, which then Steven says, crocodiles are way worse than alligators. Yeah,
but there are no crocodiles in Florida unless somebody brought one in. It's a invasive species if there's any crocodiles in Florida. No, they're not in Florida. They're not a native species.
Where would you find a crocodile?
Oh God, a bunch of Xbox buddies of mine were talking about this one night, and we had one buddy that looked it up. I cannot remember other than Australia. I can't remember the other places where they were naming where they were. Some of the places though I was like, wait, where? That doesn't even sound like the right climate, but I don't know. I'd have to Google it again. Like I said, some Xbox buddy brought it up and he started looking it up and yeah.
Okay. And Steven says alligators are tasty.
They are.
All right. Shiba Kobe says, I've had croc meat before. It was pretty good. I think we're turning this into a cooking show. Calvin has said, no, you have the American croc in southern part of the Florida Everglades. Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I'm not going to say he's wrong, but I figured I would have heard a lot more because I've gone down to Miami to race a lot of times. Spent some time around Miami, come across the Everglades and everything. I figured I would have heard, the other racers that were from my area that were going down there. Oh, you got to watch out for crocodiles. They're worse than gators. And I never heard anybody say that, so I don't know.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
Well, if you just show up in a show up with an alligator and a crocodile and see how it plays out.
The crocodile will win. I guess gators are soft. They're just big softies. Yeah, they don't, unless you're really bothering them, they're not going to bother you.
I see it says crocs stay more to salt and brackish water.
Swamplandish.
Okay.
Well, I mean, if there are any in southern Florida and the swamplands, there's probably not a whole lot left because they're developing all that so fast. I mean, Florida's filling up so fast. Don't come to Florida. We full.
Wow, I'm surprised of hearing that. That's the exact problem we're having in Toronto, where basically any patch of land has been developed, is in the eyes of developers, and any building structures that are at least 50, 60 years old, they're just trying to knock them down and just rebuild the city.
Something new. Yep.
Yeah,
we have the same problem here. And the stuff that's out on the fringes that used to be out in the sticks, like Bill here, the stuff that used to be so far out, now they're wanting to develop around it, and we're losing stuff like our racetracks. We had racetracks that were out far enough to where they weren't bothering anybody. Mm-hmm. Now they're trying to build houses up around it. The houses complain that all the noise from the racetrack, and then they get the racetrack shut down. And then once the racetrack shut down, the land, the real estate people, they go in, they buy that too. They'll pave right over it without so much as a ceremony for the track that used to be there, and just keep on going further out. Yeah, we got the same problem here.
And it's crazy. And the thing is, historically, when you build a city, you kind of have the people, you build some homes, schools, hospitals, businesses, and you build a community. In a sense, now the city's just focused on bringing in more people, building the houses, and a lot of businesses are getting pushed out the city. Even at one point, there's a mechanic shop that's been in that part of the city for however many years. And I think developers are either trying or may have bought them out to push them away. And it's weird, this mindset where some people are like, well, we don't need a mechanic shop. Like, we need more housing. At the same time, I'm like, well, if I have a car and I live in the city, now I have to go out the city to get it repaired. Why am I living in the city? It's, there's no logic there.
And on top of that, with all these big buildups for all these big, huge housing developments, they'll have a company come in and they'll do the housing development, for X amount of $1 million or whatever. And then they won't update the roads. So you've got an extra 10,000 people living in this, this area. Yep. And you've got the same tiny little 2 lanes that, was fine enough when it was farmland. Yep. But now it's just a nightmare trying to get back and forth anywhere. Yeah. And we got that problem.
Oh, we
actually still live on a gravel road.
Wow. See, that's cool.
It's cool until you got to wash your car 10 times a week.
Oh, every other day. Yeah. But what I was going to say is we've had 200-acre farms that have been bought up, and they're now becoming housing developments. One of them's just about 8 miles up the road from me.
Wow.
And they're turning into great big, huge, $350,000, $400,000 homes, great big brick homes out here in the middle of a cornfield.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
And there's one house that, have you ever seen Children of the Corn, the movie? Mm-hmm. That's what this house looks like, because there's a house and like 15 feet on each side of it, it's still filled. They just sold them the half-acre plot right by the road, and they still plant around it.
That's crazy.
So yeah, during the spring and summer, you look out the windows and all you see is corn.
Yeah, I had enough of that when I lived in Ohio. No, thank you. No. You ever see a cornfield? Well, then you've seen Ohio. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for visiting. You can go home now.
Yeah. Welcome to Rockport. That's corn 1 year, soybean the next year, this and that, tobacco patches in between.
Oh, interesting.
That's what we were. We were tobacco farmers.
Okay.
That is kind of interesting, actually, because tobacco's kind of going on the wayside. I mean,
our tracks were bought out in '94. The government came in and bought our tracks. We actually make sagebrush and feed for horses on our fields now. We're not allowed to plant tobacco anymore. What a lot of people don't understand is tobacco is actually run by the government now.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they could jack the prices up.
Hmm.
Yeah, the government came in and bought every tract that was under 200 acres, and you didn't have a choice in it. They just came in and said, "Here you go. Here's your check. You're not allowed to plant tobacco anymore."
Wow.
Well, tobacco aside, I think we might have gotten a little off topics for. Transformers. I'm sorry.
So what about this AI, man? What's going on with this?
All right. So it's a chat system that an AI chat system that Mike actually introduced me to, not too long ago, and essentially it's a computer or a series of computers that you could almost have a conversation with it, but essentially you can ask it questions. And what it does is it kind of scours, goes through the entire internet to find answers to your questions. But at the same time, it learns those answers. So in a sense, anyone else asking it will have already memorized these answers, and you can also correct it if it gives you an incorrect answer. So then someone else coming along would be like, well, now it knows the proper answer to whatever we're asking it. So what is interesting is I did try it out with a few other random things that weren't Transformers related, in terms of write an article based on these topics, and it pretty much answered or created an article on in a sense of how I would have written the article as well. But let me bring it up on the screen. His Professor D is saying his Soundwave is messing with him. He's having connectivity issues. So, Soundwave always getting in the way of things. So I should see if it.
Are you Skynet? No, I am not Skynet. I just saw that flash up there, and I was like, "Oh, geez."
Yep.
If it was Skynet, that would be the answer we give. No, not me.
No. It's like, okay, we believe you. You're not Skynet.
Thank you for your honesty. We're good now.
Mm-hmm. So I know Anthony wasn't feeling well, so he wasn't able to come in tonight, but he did send us some questions. So I'm going to start with his and see what response we get from this system. And I know Mike has really been did more research on the whole program. But let me get to Anthony's questions first. There we go. So his first question is, write the Transformers versus a G.I. Joe movie. So let me ask it and see what response it gets.
Write the movie. That's going to be 50 pages for enough for feature-length movie.
Oh. Let me add that in. Okay, this is interesting.
Okay, that thing's even typing like Skynet. I'm not going to. You remember the text that came up, before Terminator 2, the basically the narration text. That's kind of how it came up. I'm nervous.
Okay, let's see. So, right, the Transformers G.I. Joe feature-length movie. So its response is, "I'm sorry, I'm an AI language model. I don't have the capability to write a full-length movie script. However, I can provide some ideas and points that could be considered when writing the script for Transformers versus G.I. Joe movie. The storyline could revolve around both groups of heroes, the Transformers and G.I. Joe, coming together to save the world from a common enemy. The script could also explore dynamics between the two groups, their distinct cultures, and the challenges they face while working together. Both the Transformers and G.I. Joe have iconic characters with unique abilities, personalities, and motivations, so the script should showcase each character's strengths and weaknesses. The action scenes could feature exciting battles between the Transformers and G.I. Joe team, as well as with the common enemy. And the script could also include humor, emotional moments, character development, adding depth and dimension to the story. And finally, the movie could have a meaningful message about the importance of teamwork, trust, and cooperation in achieving a common goal." Interesting response.
Yeah, that's kind of how I would write a story. Yeah.
Well, and I think that's kind of how we would write a story if kind of the commonality if we were to put this story like that together. But then surprisingly, in the hands of some producers, they would seem to have missed many of those points and just kind of go off on their own direction.
I was just about to say Michael Bay could probably benefit from this program. Yeah, it was floating around up there.
Well, I think he would more focus on the emotional moments, and I mean, definitely he wouldn't focus around the importance of teamwork and trust. Like that just wouldn't happen.
Or character development.
This is true. Yeah, that's out the window with Michael Bay.
Explosions, Chevy Camaro, explosions.
That's it.
Oh, underage girls, yes.
Yeah. More explosions.
More explosions. Now let's actually Anthony had Professor D has set to ask it for a sample action scene. So actually let's ask it while we're still in here, because I guess the program is formulated in a sense where we're currently in the same conversation thread. So I'm going to ask it to give me an example of a scene from this movie.
On August 29th, 1997, nuclear war. Oh, wait. Wrong movie.
The Transformers took over.
Wow, this thing is not joking.
It's too small for me to read, so.
All right, I will. Actually, I don't know when it's gonna stop, but let me kind of go here. So, asking it to give an example of a scene from the movie, as Professor D asked. In headlines, it says, I guess, initial abandoned warehouse day. And then it says the G.I. Joe team, consisting of Duke, Roadblock, Scarlet, and Snake Eyes, is inside an abandoned warehouse searching for a powerful weapon that has fallen into the wrong hands. Suddenly, they hear the sound of metal clanging and see several Decepticons entering the warehouse. Where Dukes yells, "Everyone take cover, we've got incoming." The G.I. Joe team quickly takes positions beside nearby crates and objects as the Decepticons start firing their weapons. And Duke signals Roadblock to take aim and fire. And Roadblock says, "G.I. Joe, let's do this." And Robot takes out his heavy machine gun and starts firing at the Decepticons, while Snake Eyes uses his ninja skills to take out several Decepticons with quick and precise strikes. Scarlet uses her crossbow to pick off Decepticons from a distance.
Okay,
Now,
what is Snake Eyes using? A lightsaber?
I was just about to wonder.
I'm thinking that's the thing. The AI doesn't realize, like, it's Decepticons are not are not comparable to GI Joe characters.
Well, if Snake Eyes jumped up on a Starscream and cut off his head, or stuck his sword into his neck.
Wow. So let's see. So just as the Decepticons are about to overpower the G.I. Joe team, the sound of engines roaring is heard, and several Autobots enter the warehouse, led by Optimus Prime. And Optimus Prime says, "Autobots, to the aid of our allies." And the Autobots join forces with the G.I. Joe team, and together they engage in an intense battle with the Decepticons. The Decepticons are no match for the combined strength and teamwork of the Autobots and G.I. Joe, and soon the Decepticons are defeated. And then Duke says, "Thanks for the backup, Optimus. We couldn't have done it without you." Optimus then says, "The fight for freedom is a common goal. Together we are stronger." And the G.I. Joe team and the Autobots shake hands, and the scene ends with the two groups walking out of the warehouse, ready to face any challenge that comes their way.
18.
I mean, it's not terrible. It really lacks description. Yeah, and again, like you said, GI Joe isn't really GI Joe really isn't comparable to the power, the might of Transformers. So yeah, I don't think that's something that the AI quite understands.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting to play around with this and see. Actually, did you have a question before I jump to like another one of Anthony's? Or I think you had a question. No?
Who, me?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, sorry.
Oh God. Trying to remember what the question was. Okay. The AI that I've seen before usually has to view a whole bunch of whatever subject matter they're going to be doing. The wife watches a lot of Hallmark movies, and I remember they asked the AI, they made a AI watch a whole bunch of Hallmark movies, and asked it to write it afterwards, and it was so spot on because they're all sort of like the same cheesy, same beats in the storyline and everything. Right. And it wrote it actually really good because everything was the same. So I didn't know if the AI had watched a whole bunch of G1 Transformer cartoons, but the question was if characters were allowed to die in the original Transformers cartoons, which character would have died first?
Okay, let's ask it.
Oh, wow.
The original Transformers movie?
Cartoon.
No, the cartoon, the series.
Just because he's died in every other continuity, I'm going to be real surprised if it's not Cliff Jumper.
Okay, so we're asking.
That hurts. It's my favorite Autobot.
It's true. If characters were to die in the original Transformers cartoon series, which characters would die first? And let's see its answer. It's an interesting logical question for an AI, where it says it is not possible to determine which characters would die in the first original Transformers cartoon series, as the show did not depict characters dying in a permanent way. The characters would often be killed or repaired, but they did not die in the traditional sense.
I'm pretty sure Google could have told me that.
Mm-hmm. What?
Okay. If Hot Rod would not have interfered.
Sorry, Anthony. Sorry, Anthony.
I guess you need to put in there in the cartoon movie Transformers, if Hot Rod would not have interfered, who would have won the fight between Megatron and Optimus Prime?
It's so funny. I think it was last week. Being Anthony's favorite character being Hot Rod, while he's typing stuff out here, he didn't understand, or he never even knew about the animosity that G1 fans hold toward Hot Rod because of that fight scene, and because of Prime dying. The animosity that G1 fans held toward Hot Rod for getting Prime killed. He had no idea until he joined Facebook and saw this animosity. It's kind of funny. Hot Rod was always his favorite character.
That's a bullshit answer.
But you know what? I'm exactly the same way. Until joining the Facebook groups, I had no idea that there's people for decades that hated Hot Rod, because I like Hot Rod as the character and toy. But just finding out like everyone's like, Prime, Megatron didn't kill Optimus, Hot Rod did, and it's like people are diehard, like adamant about that.
Yeah, all the big arguments on the pages I didn't know until I got, internet the last few years. I always liked Hot Rod.
Well, there are two wars that have waged for millions of years: Autobots versus Decepticons, and the hate for Hot Rod.
Right. But, that's just hell's the circle of life. Leaders fall, new leaders have to take their place.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the way that I looked at it as a kid. Yeah, I mean, I was devastated when Prime died, but then by watching the movie, I was like, oh, so who's gonna be next? Who's gonna be the next leader?
Mm-hmm.
And then when Rodimus rose up at the end, it was like, that's cool. That's the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And then now they're like, no, if it wasn't for Hot Rod, Prime'd still be here. Well, okay. Just the argument was Bombshell or Skywarp turned into Cyclonus.
Yeah.
Well, of course it had to be Skywarp. First off, Skywarp's my dude, and then second off, Bombshell's an idiot. Skywarp had intelligence to him.
Right.
Well, I found
Cyclonus was no dummy.
Mm-hmm. Well, Skywarp saved Megatron in the first episode, and Cyclonus, went out to look for Galvatron in the Five Faces. So it's like that loyalty still resides within him.
There was something too from Frank Dilly. Something there was at one point in time it was brought to his attention that everyone had wondered whether it was Bombshell or Skywarp, and he officially at one point said it was Skywarp.
Right. It was animation error,
which there were a lot of.
Yes.
No.
Okay. There's a gentleman in some of the Transformer groups. His name is Artist Stan. He is the guy who is actually physically animating the missing scenes from the movie. I don't know if you guys have seen this or not, but if not, check out his YouTube channel. I think it's Artist Stan, and just look up G1 Transformers. He's actually going through the storyboards, because if you've ever seen the version of the Transformers movie where it will show you the scenes that they had written storyboards up for but didn't animate and include in the movie, he's actually doing those.
Nice.
And it's real funny too. He has gone through the entire movie and all these background characters that were like, what is that? So and so, or is that so and so? Is that an animation error, or is that actually a character that's supposed to be there? Just these little nuances with the movie. And there's this one scene where Starscream throws Megatron and all the other broken Decepticons out of Astrochan on their way back to Cybertron.
Mhm.
And one of the last bots coming out, for years we all thought it was Reflector, because that's kind of how he looked from the back. He was going head down coming out of the shuttle, but his back was turned to the camera. I'll be damned if this guy didn't blow it up, compare it to the shapes on Reflector. Didn't match up, but what it did match up to was the Transformers watch that was available. It would transform. You could take it off of the band and transform. It matched up to that. Like the shape, it was perfect. I was like, how did you do that?
That's crazy.
Which is crazy too, because it puts that toy in canon.
Mm-hmm. That's very cool.
Yeah, but Artist Stan, he does a lot of cool stuff with and I don't know the guy to plug his channel and stuff, but I just think he's that impressive. It's just the animation he's doing looks awesome.
Well, I mean, between the animation and the stop motion, between a lot of fans that are just doing it on their own time and budget, like some some clips that I've seen that are like 2 minutes at most, and I'm like, those were the best 2 minutes out of like however many hours of movies that have been produced over the years. And I'm like, give these guys the movie budget. Give it to them. Let them make the movie. I always said, if you give me the budget for 2 Hollywood movies, give me the budget for Transformers and give me the budget for Stephen King's Christine. Absolutely. Yes. Oh my God. The budget and the writing freedom. Yeah. Because I don't want nobody else getting in there and making product placement more important than character development. Exactly.
I've seen some 15-minute stop motion videos that guys have made with just the WFC Transformers that were better than anything I've seen Michael Bay put out.
Mm-hmm. No, I believe it. And there was one that I had saved somewhere for a while where they took the audio from the Michael Bay movie with the Dinobots, but they did the stop motion with the G1 toys, and it makes a huge difference where it's like, well, now this seems like 1,000 times better because now you've put like these characters in it, even with the same writing. It's just seeing G1 Optimus and Grimlock and fighting each other. It's 1,000 times better than the visuals that Michael Bay had.
Absolutely. What's really weird is, and I'm sorry we're getting a little off topic again, but what's really weird is, people have complained to me, called me a G whiner, because stuff isn't. Yeah, imagine that. But they said these movies aren't made for you anymore. This content isn't made for you anymore. Mm-hmm. Well, I understand it's aimed at children. Okay, that's fine. But who do you think is buying those toys for the kids? It's the parents that grew up with it in the first place. And if the parents don't recognize it or respect it, how do they expect to market that to either or the kids or the parents? I remember when my kids were small, they of course they watched their cartoons on Cartoon Network, and not all of them were bad, but overall, some of them were not compared to the cartoons that we grew up with. Not that we didn't have crappy cartoons, that we grew up with. Mm-hmm. But they got to the point where I had a bunch of them on, this is like early early 2000s. I had a bunch of them on DVDs and stuff, and they would come home from school, instead of turning on Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network, they pop in the old DVDs I had and watch my old cartoons.
Mhm.
They were more entertained for longer with our cartoons than they were with their own.
Oh yeah, and I definitely see that.
The point that I've made on here multiple times is that look at the difference in Masterpiece, KO, third party, and our regular G1s and stuff. Even compared to the WFC stuff, which is, in my opinion, is great. We are willing to pay for that extra engineering. It's not like Masterpieces and third party stuff are sitting on the shelf. The pre-orders are full and sold out every time that they come out with.
Mhm.
We will pay for the engineering. Jump the price. That's the problem right now. People go, "Oh God, I'm not going to pay $80 for this." Well, it's on this side. Rodimus Prime. I think he's a great figure. He's a great figure because he put engineering into it. If they did that with every piece, I wouldn't have a problem paying more for it if it was a quality piece. Yeah, I love my shelf of third party and masterpieces that I've got over here. They're fantastic pieces. I've showed y'all that thing with Hound where the wheels actually break him in half and fold up into his feet.
Mhm.
You know, they're gone. He looks just like he walked off the screen, and then he turns into his Jeep and he looks just like he rolled off the screen. Like, we don't have a problem paying for that engineering.
Mhm.
Just do it and make it broad enough that everybody can buy them.
Oh God, I feel like I'm breaking that demographic. Actually, I have a problem paying for it because first off, I don't have any place to display it, and then second off, I'm not buying any of the new stuff until I get every single piece of the old stuff. So I don't know. Maybe I'm an anomaly on that part, but I feel like I'm breaking that one. Like, oh, that guy's the one example of why we're not doing this because all he does is collect the old ones. It's my fault, guys. I'm sorry.
Such a letdown.
God, now you sound like my parents. Wait, what? Okay, I'm sorry. We got
It's
get back to
okay.
the AI thing.
All right, so
Prime example why we can't have nice things.
yeah.
It's because of Skywarp's dumbass. Yeah.
So going back to what the AI answered to Bill's question, Magnus's question, it is difficult to determine who would have won the fight between Optimus Prime and Megatron without the interference of Hot Rod, as it is a fictional event, and events in fiction can vary based on interpretation of the storyteller. However, in the original Transformers movie from 1986, Hot Rod interfered and transformed into Rodimus Prime, ultimately defeating Galvatron, formerly Megatron.
Like I said, that's a bullshit answer.
No, it's not. Even the AI knows it's Rodimus or Hot Rod's fault. Even the AI knows it. I'm sorry.
This is funny. Well, Professor D has a question for the AI. So that's
Who's a better leader, Magnus or Cyclonus?
Yep.
That'd be a good one. Should be a good one.
Should be.
Watch, it's just going to go Cyclonus. It's not going to give it either. In my opinion, Cyclonus.
It's obviously going to be Cyclonus because he can deal with that right now.
Yep. Okay, so it said it is subjective to determine who is the better leader between Cyclonus and Ultra Magnus, as it depends on the personal preferences and the context in which they are leading. Well, let's see. How about we?
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it depends on the context. Let's see if we can give it a context of give it a context answer. Okay, what if Ultra Magnus was wounded. So if Ultra Magnus were wounded, it would likely affect his ability to effectively lead and make decisions. Injuries can limit a leader's physical capabilities and impact their decision-making ability. These are funny answers.
The AI seems very neutral.
Mm-hmm. Well, I wonder if it's on purpose, so no one can like use it to sway any form of like decisions or like political outcomes or stuff like that.
What if Ultra Magnus never died in the movie?
He didn't die in the movie. Wait, what?
Well, he got blown apart.
Oh, he got disassembled.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's another thing. Like, why could Ultra Magnus be reassembled and he couldn't reassemble or rebuild?
Because a spark wasn't hurt.
The answer to that is going to be because we hadn't met the Junkions yet.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of that, Artistan, he did you know how that chunk of junk that the Junkions flew through in space, that they lived on. He actually made like an outline of it, computer graphic outline of it, and made it up to a missing part of Cybertron, and it fit like a glove.
I've seen that recently. That's an interesting
Wasn't that
theory.
cool?
Mm-hmm.
I gotta see more of this.
And you know what? That thought kind of, the chunk missing out of Cybertron and the shape of the Junkion's homeworld, I guess you'd call it. Those two things kind of like sparked a connection in between, but they never really locked in. For years and years in my head, when somebody did it, I'm like, God, that's what I've been trying to think of for like the last 20 years.
Wow. I mean, until that was mentioned, I never put those two together. And it's like, it's quite a connection. And again, that's something that could branch out into like so many different storylines to create that kind of linkage between Junkion and Cybertron.
They could tell a whole new story, like what happened about Primus and all that other stuff.
How about this one? If Rodimus Prime would have killed Galvatron, who would lead the Decepticons?
Oh yeah, that's good wording.
Starscream. It's Ghosts.
I guess if the AI knows it, it's probably just going to fall back on who it knows as second in command.
Mm-hmm. That's a funny answer. So if Rodimus Prime had killed Galvatron, the next leader of the Decepticons would likely have been determined by the remaining members in the hierarchy of the group. It is not specified in canon who would have taken over as leader of the Decepticons in this hypothetical scenario. Let's see if we can kind of push it to answer this question, though.
Okay, so who are the top 10 ranking Decepticons after Galvatron in order?
I wonder if it knows Transformers as well as it does G.I. Joe, because going back to the scene that you made it create for the story, they named numerous guys from the G.I. Joe team, nobody from the Cobra team, nobody from the Decepticon team, and only Optimus from Transformers.
Interesting.
Shockwave, Starscream, Ravage.
I love that Ravage and Laserbeak are higher ranking than Skywarp, Thundercracker, and Frenzy.
Yes.
But you know,
I can't talk.
I can't read it.
Specs wise, it's possible that some of those characters do outrank them. So the answer it gave is the exact ranking of the Decepticons after Galvatron can vary depending on the source material. But here is a general list of 10 characters who have been depicted as high-ranking members of the Decepticon army: Cyclonus, Scourge, Soundwave, Shockwave, Starscream, Ravage, Laserbeak, Skywarp, Thundercracker, Frenzy.
My brain tickles.
Was Frenzy red or blue?
We are not starting that argument tonight.
Okay, you mentioned Frenzy. Is he red or blue?
That's it. Go sit in the corner. Go sit in the corner.
An error occurred. If this issue persists, please contact us.
No way.
Okay, let's refresh. It's not getting away from this one.
Yes. System has crashed. See, this is what made Skynet decide to take over humanity. The whole Rumble and Frenzy thing just made Skynet pissed off and like, nah, fuck you humans, you're done.
I told you before, we will not answer such questions.
Frenzy, was he red or blue?
If we're ever overran by computers, that's the question you have to ask.
Mm-hmm.
In most
That'll be the
depictions,
virus.
Frenzy was depicted as being colored blue.
Oh dear, that's a battle just waiting to happen. And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
according to the AI, Frenzy's blue.
Better take a screenshot of that.
Yeah. Well, it's saved in the many questions that it's been asked. Let's actually catch back up on some comments. So Professor D also asked it, who would win Fortress Maximus versus Metroplex, and then asked for a scene in the movie where they fight. So I'll see if I can get around to that. Professor D says, Toy Warp, the Autobots would not have made it off the Ark after the Decepticons released the boarding shot. Boarding chute. And Steven says, ask who would win, Optimus Primal, Leo Convoy, or Big Convoy. And Shiba Kobe said, this is some funny stuff. And also says, ask if Starscream is smarter than Megatron. And it also says, no Ratbat, which is quite interesting because Ratbat is a high-ranking Decepticon in some of the storylines. You know, and of course, you know, Frenzy and the Rumble debate. So let's ask this question. It
kind of makes me wonder what it's considering canon, where it's getting its storylines. Because Ravage was actually a high-ranking Decepticon in the David C.N. books.
Okay.
And Ravage could actually talk in those books too.
I think Anthony may have mentioned that because most of the book series I'm not familiar with, but I do know Ravage at one point did have a high ranking.
I might have one of the books handy here. Nope, I had to take it out. I've read multiple books. I mean, basically what they add up to is fan fiction, but obviously there's some that's better than others. And David Cian, the 3 books that he wrote are just flat out amazing. The guy really knows his G1 stuff. So that's the best one. That's one I've read.
Okay, cool. Okay, so who would win? So Professor D's question: who would win Fortress Maximus versus Metroplex, and can you describe a scene of their fight? The AI says, as a language model, I don't have personal opinions, but in the fictional world of Transformers, the outcome of such a fight would depend on specific versions of Fortress Maximus and Metroplex. Yeah, it's just now I'm realizing that he's putting Fortress Maximus and Metroplex against each other. So it says if we consider the original G1 versions of the characters, it is likely that Metroplex would emerge as the victor due to his greater size and firepower. However, in other continuities or versions of the characters we use, the outcome could be different. A potential scene of their fight could look something like this. The 2 towering titans face off each other in a barren wasteland, their massive forms casting long shadows on the desolate landscape. Fortress Maximus, a massive fortress on wheels, rolls towards Metroplex, the city-sized transformer. As they close in on each other, Fortress Maximus opens fire with his massive cannons, sending barrage of energy beams towards Metroplex. Metroplex responds in kind, unleashing his own weapons and sending shockwaves through the ground with every blast. Let's see. So it keeps going. So as the fight continues, Fortress Maximus transforms into his robot form, revealing his massive size and strength, charges towards Metroplex, ready to engage in close combat. However, Metroplex transforms as well, revealing a massive robot form with weapons even larger than Fortress Maximus. And the 2 titans clash in a massive battle, exchanging blows and grappling with each other in a desperate struggle for dominance. In the end, Metroplex emerges as the victor, his greater size and firepower allowing him to overpower Fortress Maximus and emerge as the winner of the epic battle.
That one was a little more descriptive.
It was. Yeah, and I think it's I guess with the AI as well, once you feed it a bit more information, it can kind of give a more concrete answer. Yeah, because it's usually, as you said earlier, trying to stay neutral in terms of the outcome. Here it's clearly saying Metroplex would win in this battle.
I guess it was just because I'm looking at the toys.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought about the fact that Metroplex is a city and Fortress Maximus is a fortress.
Yeah,
I always thought Fortress Maximus was bigger.
I've always thought that too, and I'm like, well, you can have a fortress within a city, so then therefore shouldn't the city be bigger than the fortress?
Until I just saw that, I'm sitting there looking at the screenshot and there, and I'm turning around and I'm looking and I'm like, damn.
All right, what else we got in the question bank here?
All right, let me quickly go back to one of Anthony's questions.
Oh, I will not be here next week because of Super Bowl. Also,
I have a feeling.
Clear that out now.
Cool. I think some people will probably be missing too. So we'll figure out something to accommodate. Trying to compete against Super Bowl Sunday.
Super Bot Sunday.
Yeah.
We have a pretty good party on that weekend, and I'm looking at the time, gentlemen. So it is time for me to be signing out.
Mm-hmm.
Really? So,
all right, Bill.
I'll see you all in 2 weeks.
Have a good night.
Peace out. Always a pleasure.
Cool. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
Nice seeing
Hey.
you.
Take care. Yeah, and I know, we try not to go too many hours, so I'd say I will probably wrap up soon as well. But do want to get through a few more answers, or a few more questions. And Professor CD saying that Metroplex versus Fort Max script was great for a grade school level, but but severe overuse of the word massive. And Shiva Kobe says, "Cheers, man." So it's referring to Bill. Now, let's see. Another question asked for a scene from the film depicting the debate between Wheeljack and Geordie LaForge on the subject of quantum mechanics. Let me see if can actually answer that.
Oh God. Okay. While you're typing that in, let me show you the attitude. Let me show you the attitude my dog is having right now that I'm not sitting on the couch with her playing games. That's just ridiculous.
It's just sitting there watching you.
You should see the scowl that she's got on her face. It's just, you're not on the couch with me. You're supposed to be playing video games.
Just so
Oh,
disappointed.
wow.
Look at that scowl. That is ridiculous.
What type of car do you race?
I'm not currently racing right now because it's like I said, it's stuck in Dayton, Ohio, at the shop that took all my money and my car and decided to keep both and not do anything. Yeah, I would be racing a Chevrolet Beretta in SCCA, Club America, which is road course racing like Sebring, Road Atlanta, Mid Ohio, Watkins Glen, places like that.
Oh, they've had that here, in close to Lincoln. They shut down the base in Lincoln, air base in Lincoln, and
Okay.
they do that. And they did have it at Warner Park, right down the road a couple times, but I don't know why they didn't carry on. I
forget where you're at. You talking Lincoln, Nebraska?
Yeah, Lincoln, Nebraska, and I'm like in Bellevue, Nebraska, which is right next to Omaha. But yeah, they've done it a few times around here, but it's really popular down Lincoln. So it's kind of neat to watch, especially when they shut down the air base or the guard base down there and run the track on the actual airfield.
I have a question for Toy Warp. What's involved in getting into car racing? I mean, it's something that's not common, being up here. So it's like, but yeah, like what's involved in getting into it?
It kind of depends first on the level of where you want to get into it. Do you want to do it as a hobby or do you want to pursue it as a career? And then second off, what discipline you want to get into, be it circle track, drag racing, trophy truck racing, sports car racing. It really depends on what aspect of it you want to get into and what level, how high you want to be competitive.
Okay.
Like circle track is the easiest, in the States anyway. Circle track's the easiest to get into because they usually have like a beginner style class that races street cars. Basically, you pretty much just put a roll cage in the car, knock the glass out, and go racing. And a lot of these classes and late model front wheel drive cars. Okay. And you can get in one of those cars for around $2,000.
Oh, that's cool. And I guess what's the cost? I guess after getting the car, like what's the cost or process of getting just like into a simple like circle track racing?
Circle track racing typically doesn't require any doesn't require any kind of licensing, unlike sports car racing.
Okay.
So you can just show up at your local circle track, or what would equate to your local circle track. As long as you pass inspection and all your safety stuff's good, they'll let you race.
Nice. Okay, that sounds pretty cool.
Now for SCCA racing, which is what I was doing, I was looking to put about 30 grand into the car.
Okay.
To be competitive on a national level. But like I said, the shop decided to keep $11,500 that I sent them initially to just build the engine, and this is in an old Chevy Beretta.
Wow.
But yeah, he kept the car, he kept the money. I got a lawyer, and then the lawyer didn't do anything either. It must be something in that area. You send money to those people in that area, and they don't want to do anything. Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
I knew a lot of people got Miatas. Seemed like there's a lot of Miatas or like
that's SCCA. That is the dominant car in SCCA. You can race a Miata darn near in every class, and they've got a bajillion different classes you can race in. So
yeah,
that is the dominant car.
Yeah, trying to talk my wife and let me take her Miata. She's like, nope. Like, come on, honey, just let me do it a couple times.
So putting that in question, can you create a film scene of debate between Wheeljack and Geordie LaForge on the subject of quantum mechanics? And it's created the scene in a science lab. Wheeljack, a scientist, and Geordie LaForge, an engineer, are standing at a whiteboard discussing quantum mechanics, where Wheeljack says the fundamental principle of quantum mechanics state that particles can exist in multiple states simultaneously. Where LaForge then says, but that contradicts our understanding of classical mechanics, where objects have definite positions and definite velocities. Wheeljack then says that's because quantum mechanics operates on a different scale than classical mechanics. The principles of quantum mechanics only become apparent when we examine the behavior of particles at the subatomic level. Which Geordie then says, but how can particles exist in multiple states at the same time? So it's actually quite an interesting dialogue that this is created. So I mean, what I'm going to do is post this in a Facebook page, either tomorrow or the day after, in terms of like the questions and responses. I do want to try to get to a couple more questions before we sign off. And Shiva Kobe saying, man, that severe shade coming out of your dog. The look on her face, I was like, oh dear.
Yeah, because like I said, usually about this time I'm sitting on, and she's snuggled up to me on the couch while I'm gaming. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What games do you play?
Mainly racing games. Imagine that. I know I have such a huge repertoire. Yeah, but mostly racing games. And my main channel, the Toy Warp's kind of like the secondary screw around channel, but the main channel is a lot of it's based on following different racing games and how helping people get better at them and reporting the news on them and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because out of all games, I'm more into racing games than anything else. Like I don't really play games a lot, but the one that I was playing for a short bit was the Asphalt series. I believe Asphalt 8, but I didn't get a chance to try out 9.
Isn't that a mobile game?
I believe it's mobile, but it's also on the PC. It actually plays better on the PC.
Oh, well, imagine that. But it probably plays better on Xbox, too, because you said Asphalt 9. I got Asphalt 9 on Xbox, a couple of years ago.
Okay.
And I thought the gameplay was like so simple. I mean, it'll steer for you.
Mm-hmm.
If you want it to, it'll steer for you. And it was so simplistic. And then I found out that, it was a mobile game that was ported over. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think there's a few options. It can kind of drive for you in a sense, but it's like I take off all of those options because like I need to. I mean, it's almost like standard and automatic. Like I need to be in control of what's happening here.
Yeah, I'm big on the Forza series, Forza Motorsport and Forza Horizon. I was actually a Forza Marshal at one point. Think of Marshal like a moderator. So if you came into an online lobby and were just wrecking people and causing chaos, I had the power to kick you. And then after that, I could make a report to Turn 10, the studio that makes the game, and get that person banned.
Interesting. Okay, that's yeah, that's quite interesting. And I mean, it makes sense because there probably are players out there just out to cause havoc instead of like playing the game.
Yeah, and those are usually the slow guys who can't figure out the game. Yeah.
Just run into the side or other cars.
Yeah, 8 wheels gets more traction than 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's see. So Hannah on YouTube asking a question. So ask what sort of plot would make Transformers stories more appeal to girls? Let's see. Story plot would
Care Bear Transformers.
Trying to think who did that music video. There was a music video. It was claymation. Oh, I think it was the band's name was Gunship, and the guy has like a VCR in his chest, and he can pop in different cassette tapes, and he will have the power of whatever cassette he put in. So if you put in RoboCop, he could become like RoboCop and have the powers of RoboCop. And it's so funny. He had to go into this world, and he grabs a whole bunch of these tapes, and Care Bears is one of them. And while he's in the world, he turns into a Care Bear and does the Care Bear stare at a bad guy and literally like melts their face off.
Wow.
I'm like, where in canon did they find that?
Wow.
What we got here?
The violent side of Care Bears.
Yeah, I don't care, Bear.
Let's see it. Well, the AI's responded saying it's not about gender, but rather about the appeal of the story itself. A compelling story that appeals to a wide audience that can be made regardless of gender. Good storytelling includes engaging characters, an interesting plot, meaningful themes, and well-developed world building.
I feel like I've heard this before.
It's going with a safe answer. So I will post that the answer out as well. And Shiva Kobe says, I still think we should ask if Starscream is smarter than Megatron. So let's create that as a new question.
Somebody actually made a WR of Transformer Care Bears.
Like animated or claymation or what is it?
It was just a drawing.
Oh, okay. I mean, if you've read Transformer comics as of late, they've made crossovers with just about everybody anyway. So why not Care Bears?
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought they did do one of Care Bears at one time. Because I was like, really?
Well, didn't they do one even with My Little Pony?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Back to the Future, Ghostbusters. Like what?
Mm-hmm. Although it's I would say sometimes what you don't expect actually turns out pretty good, because having daughters, at one point, like, we really got into the Barbie cartoon series, which I think Barbie, like the Barbie company itself, really understood that people were into it and created a YouTube channel with like all the cartoon series. And a lot of the dialogue is still borderline written for adults. And it's actually quite funny when you know, just the how the characters get along with each other and just like little things that they hide and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, kids don't at least certain age kids don't understand some of those jokes, but it's actually done really well.
That's something that Mattel has always had over Hasbro. I mean, how long did it take Hasbro to let go of G.I. Joe and Transformers and finally put it on YouTube?
Oh, jeez.
It took, it was just what, 2020 or so when they finally put G1 episodes up on YouTube. And then, the rest of the Transformers community that's into Beast Wars and RID and Energon and all that, they're still waiting for it,
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? I think, funny enough, I think they probably took the hint from seeing that Barbie did it, because the Barbie episodes on YouTube, I'd say, are only in the last maybe 4 or 5 years, and Tubi was featuring Transformers, like basically all the Transformers. So at a certain point, Hasbro's probably like, look at like what's happening over here. We might as well just run with it.
Yeah, it's sales. It's it's getting your product out there.
It is. So the question is, Starscream smarter than Megatron? The answer is, in the Transformers franchise, Starscream is often depicted as being cunning and intelligent, but not necessarily more so than Megatron. It is often portrayed as a rivalry between the two characters, with each having their own strengths and weaknesses. Ultimately, the relative intelligence of Starscream and Megatron can vary depending on the specific iteration of the franchise. So what if the franchise were G1? So in the original G1 franchise, Starscream is often portrayed as being cunning and manipulative, but still ultimately subservient to Megatron. While he may have his own plans and ambitions, he's not usually depicted as being significantly more intelligent than his leader.
I give that a C+.
Yeah. It's close.
I mean, yeah, it just kind of states the obvious.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I wonder if give the AI like a year of people just asking it questions and then figuring things out, like a year from now, what kind of responses it would have to questions like this. And let's see, and Shiva Kobe says, well, ChatGPT isn't wrong about the answer about it appealing to girls, which, I agree on that. And also says, I saw a video on YouTube years ago, and I think the video was deleted or something, where someone made a Mugen fighter where She-Ra fought G1 Galvatron. Interesting. Are any of you guys familiar with Mugen characters? Or sorry,
No.
Mugen fighter?
No idea.
I'm not sure either.
Nope.
But I'm vaguely familiar with She-Ra, and she holds about the same power as He-Man, and He-Man's one of the most powerful beings in the universe, so it was so funny last week. Oh god, I really wanted to jump in last week when you guys were doing the whole Marvel thing. I just remember watching Avengers and the whole time thinking like, man, Thanos, he's this big badass and kicking everyone's ass, but like without the Infinity Stones, man, Cliffjumper could kick his ass.
It's true.
And the scene where Captain Marvel comes down, where they're the very last scene in Endgame, where the the laser guns are blasting everybody, you know, and it just seems like the end. And then it stops and it turns up, and Iron Man's like, what are they shooting at? I just in my head, I just pictured Megatron coming down and just one shot in that entire ship. You know, it's like, you know, it's the reason why they can't be, you know, like serious crossovers, because it's really difficult for anything in the Marvel universe to compare to the power of Transformers in general.
Although I was going to say specific characters. I would say, like, you know, the classic Wolverine with adamantium could possibly cut through some of the robots, but I'm thinking of all characters, possibly Magneto. That might be the one that could rival a Transformer.
I had something for that. There was, God, it was an episode I remember in the 90s cartoon where somebody was using an alien metal and he couldn't move it because it wasn't a metal that he was familiar with.
Okay.
So you're right. Could Magneto actually fight, you know, a Transformer with his powers? Yeah, that's something that's like really up for debate on whether or not he could control and manipulate Cybertronian metal. Yeah.
Which at that point, I could then see the scene playing out. Well, if he can't manipulate the Cybertronian metal, he still has the ability to take whatever metals is around him and throw them at that Transformer, which could result in, you know, severe damage in the robot.
So could he take Grimlock and throw him at, like, say, Optimus Prime? Because is he Cybertronian metal or from Earth?
Yeah, he's Earth metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he could fully turn the Dinobots against both sides.
I don't know. Was their metal ever questioned whether it was Cybertronian? Because I mean, they could have just taken metal from the Ark.
Yeah, that's true.
No, I mean, you know, not that they had a big stockpile of it inside the Ark. I mean, they could have taken, you know, the metal that the Ark was made out of, which obviously has to be strong enough to travel through, you know, fathoms of space. You know, the extreme hot and cold of space, and, you know, go through the asteroid field where it hardly damaged the ship at all. That was probably Cybertronian steel, and yeah, I would imagine that's where they had to get it. I wouldn't imagine. Because if the Autobots had to acquire enough metal to make the Dinobots, they would have had to get it through some Earthling,
Right?
Through, you know, some kind of channels on Earth to get it, because, you know, they're not going to steal it like the Decepticons would.
Yeah, and I mean at that time they didn't quite have an alliance with the humans yet. Just Sparkplug and Spike. Charlie, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, if they took it from the ship, wouldn't the Dinobots be orange then?
I mean, you know, they've like when Prime died, the whole behind the scenes G1 lore that we've come up with over the years is, you know, when Prime died, he turned gray, and that's just like a kind of like a holographic projector that makes their colors what they are. So, you know, once that holographic projector is put into a Transformer, you know, they can beam out whatever color they deem necessary.
Interesting. I never heard that one.
Somebody tied it to, let me remember the episode's name. Season 2, where a bunch of the Autobots had to mimic the Stunticons.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Somebody tied it to that, and then, you know, made the loop back around and connected everything.
That makes sense.
I can see with the Bayverse. Because they just change color and form and whatever out of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so let's see a couple more. Oh yeah, so Shiva Kobe says Masquerade, which was the G2 episode. Yes. And Stephen Brock on YouTube says, Wind Charger is shown having powers like Magneto sometimes, which I believe he does. I believe in his tech specs, either between him or Tailgate, they do have that magnetic force field abilities, and one of them, one of those two Autobots has the ability to use that magnetic field to attach onto a vehicle in front of them. So say if there's like a truck, like a Prime or like any vehicle that's on the highway, they would use that field to attach to that vehicle, and basically like they would be using the other vehicle's fuel because they're saving their own fuel, just coasting along from that magnetic field. So Wind Charger and that, Wind Charger and that Magneto would be an interesting battle.
Yeah, other than Superman, nah. I can't really. I've made that argument for years. I can't really put anybody else up against a Transformer and them coming out on top.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, other than Superman, that's kind of like a MacGuffin. So.
Professor D says Thor, Hulk, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man are all strong enough to fight Transformers. Iron Man with a Hulkbuster. Which there is that one YouTube video of a Hulkbuster fighting Optimus Prime.
Death battle.
Mm-hmm.
Love those guys. Yeah. But Prime won that one, and then they don't just fanboy it. They go in and they look at tech specs and strengths and weaknesses and whatnot. So they don't just fanboy it and just say, oh, this guy'd win because we like him better. No, they actually go in, and because they had Prime fighting somebody in a Gundam suit. Now I don't know anything about the Gundam stuff, but
okay,
not on top because and it was the only reason why, because Prime was actually outgunned. And the Gundam suit had more strength than him, but Prime's battle experience is what let him win that battle.
Interesting. Yeah,
and that was another death battle.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, when you do the research on the characters, that does make sense. So let's see. So one question that Stephen Brock has: who would win between Optimus Primal from Beast Wars Leo Convoy from Beast Wars 2 and Big Convoy from Beast Wars Neo. So that's a question there.
So I think you're saying it as you were typing it out, but I didn't quite catch the question.
Yes. So actually, let me bring it back on the screen. So the question from Stephen Brock was, who would win in a fight between Optimus Primal from Beast Wars, Leo Convoy from Beast Wars the second, and Big Convoy from Beast Wars Neo? But its answer is it's not possible to determine a winner, as they are fictional characters from different anime series and never had direct confrontation. Okay, so let's see.
Well, this thing does not like doing its homework, does it?
I know.
That's not the answer I'm looking for, damn it.
I know. If they did have a direct confrontation, what could be the outcome? What would be the outcome?
Starting to wonder if this thing's just ran by a teenager. Oh God, you're gonna make me think.
Okay, so it's saying the outcome is dependent on the circumstances, which is not specified. So let's say if the confrontation If the confrontation were in a movie scene in New York, so it says the outcome of such hypothetical conversation would be impossible to predict, as it would depend on various factors such as specific powers and abilities of each character at the time and the scenario and the actions they take. So it's really trying to dodge the answering that one. Okay, so back at some of the comments, Toy Warp, Professor D says Toy Warp is wrong. There are many superheroes. Shazam and Black Adam can both take out your average Transformer easy.
We can't hear you.
Oh, no, your sound's good.
He muted himself.
Oh, actually...
Did he freeze?
Maybe. Nope.
No.
But yeah, your mic is muted.
To be continued.
Okay, can you hear me now?
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so for my I had my tech buddy lead me through getting the microphone working for the stream, because I didn't want to talk over you guys because I got such a delay here without the headphones. But the computer was just like muting it at random earlier.
Oh.
So it's the first time it's done it tonight. So that's a plus. That it's only done it once.
Okay.
Apologies. But no, obviously, yeah. I mean, your average Transformer. Obviously, you know, for somebody like Superman or Black Adam or somebody like that, I would definitely send a bigger Transformer after. You know, I mean, like somebody say Black Adam, I don't know, 6-shot. Maybe Skywarp, because Skywarp could, you know, outthink him with his teleportation.
Okay.
That's a beautiful part about Transformers 2 is not only are they big and ridiculously strong for the most part, but they all kind of have like their own superpower. You know, like Skywarp, you know, he can teleport. You know, it was discussed earlier about Windcharger having a magnetic pulse beam. You know, they all have some kind. I mean, they're all not only, you know, big bad robots, but they're all kind of like X-Men too. They all kind of have their own dish, their own superpower.
This is true.
So it's kind of like, you know, the best of both worlds. Yeah. I always thought so anyway. I don't know. I'm probably just a G1 nerd. What do I know?
You know, it's true. I fully agree with it as well.
Like Megatron's fusion cannon, the power of Megatron's fusion cannon, he draws from another dimension. I mean, yeah. How do you argue with that kind of destructive power?
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that a lot of what's written in their bios and tech specs did not carry over into the cartoon, because that's like you almost can't defeat Megatron with that ability, but it's just he never pulled that. Just it's never mentioned in the cartoon.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Although it wasn't mentioned in his tech spec either that he had a small force field in his arm. Third part of the very first episode, More Than Meets the Eye, where Starscream, you know, tries to shoot him on the ship, and he comes up with the that wasn't mentioned in his tech spec.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess that was their version of him, you know, with pulling from the black hole.
Yeah.
It was like the Autobots could fly in the first few episodes, and then they like stopped doing that. Oh, we can't fly anymore.
Anyone ever come up with like an answer as to why they just stopped flying after?
I can't think of one off the top of my head. And what I always tell people was, you know, that first episode is the pilot episode, you know, so things weren't quite straightened around yet when it came to who could do what. So
Yeah.
that's the answer I always give people.
I think a YouTuber, I think it was Rodimus or whatever, I think his name was. He came up with something saying that they had the jetpacks on them during the first couple episodes, and then no longer had them. I was like, oh, okay.
No, they don't have any jetpacks on in the first, well, except for when Prime takes sideswipes jetpack and flies up to destroy the ship. But after that, they Dinobot Dinobot Island. Bumblebee had to use a jetpack to keep up the Powerglide, who I would like to smack across the face. But
right,
I hate Powerglide. I hate him.
Actually, I like him, but between him and Warpath.
I love Warpath, especially the way he talks. And when we get into the because you do Sea Spray really well. When we get into doing the voices, yeah, we're gonna have to have a Sea Spray Warpath conversation. But yeah, he was cool because of the way he talked, and he's a tank.
Yep.
But no, Powerglide's just a little too full of himself. My two least favorite characters, I would say, over the whole kit and caboodle is Powerglide and Windblade. Just those two, just rot off face of the planet and never be seen again. I'll go with that.
Wow, make them into Decepticons, huh?
So I'm a Decepticon at heart. I mean, if you really think about it, the Decepticons are really the ones trying to preserve Cybertron, especially like in the Bay movies. Like the third one, Optimus willingly destroyed the planet. Maybe the Decepticons are the good guys here because they're just trying to preserve their home planet.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it is one way to look at it.
That's why I'm a Decepticon.
This is true.
I'm sorry, you got me rambling. And you said you wanted to wrap up, but I didn't know what time you wanted to wrap up.
Well, you know what? I would say within the next 10 minutes. I know I was thinking the same thing too, but I know there's a whole bunch of comments coming in where Professor D is saying Wolverine and Magneto could harm Transformers, but they can also be squashed. Colossus might do better. And they say Banshee versus Thundercracker and Nightcrawler versus Skywarp are other power matches.
That'd be good, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And as Shiba Kobe says, He-Man and She-Ra are both definitely strong enough to fight Transformers. They fought some giant robots called Monstroids in the Christmas special and a She-Ra episode.
I mean, I guess if I had to concede, Voltron. I mean, forget it. You can't. The power of Voltron, the power of one lion, could take most of the Transformers. Honestly, I hate to admit that, but at least it's another '80s property, and, and I will bow to a fellow '80s property when it comes to being more powerful. Yeah, scale alone would decimate most of the Transformers. You'd have to, and Metroplex and Trypticon and Fortress Maximus, they're big. They're not quite as big as Voltron, but they move slow compared to Voltron.
Well, what scale would you put one of the lions to like a Transformer?
Okay, let's put it this way. At the end of the Voltron episodes, if you remember when the credits rolled and it had each pilot on top of their lion, that lion was like the size of a mansion.
Right.
I mean, it was, you could fit 10 bumblebees inside of a mansion, It was just massive. I mean, the camera panned away from, the pilot on top.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't give any reference of around, but you can use the pilot as the reference. Yeah, forget it. There's massive.
Which, I mean, in that sense, then one line would be about the size of a combiner. So,
yes.
So a line versus a combiner would be a fair battle. But then once they form Voltron, then
combiners are going to have to call for help.
Yeah, which then falls into Metroplex, Fort Max, and the other cities.
And the firepower of the Lions too, and they've got just infinite firepower. I mean, the only thing that firepower could match up in Transformers, I think, would probably be Omega Supreme. That'd be the only thing I could think that could hold the fire. He doesn't have like the amount of guns and weaponry that the Lions carry, but what he carries is, can
True.
decimate. It's kind of like if you've ever seen The Boys, where Homelander shoots his lasers out in this huge crowd of people, and it shows it from above, and it shows like the lasers going out and eliminating 50 people at a time, and just kind of going back and forth. That's kind of what the firepower of Omega Supreme, especially depicted in, I'm trying to remember which game it was. It was War for Cybertron or Fall of Cybertron.
Okay.
But the High Moon games. He climbs onto the battlefield out of a hole and just decimates, 10,000 freaking Decepticons. It's just massive. So I think that might be the only thing that could take a Lion.
Interesting. Which, I mean, if he has that firepower, but then Omega is the size of a combiner, so then he lacks that size where it's like, Voltron versus Omega in that scale. He's probably powerful enough to take out like one line, like an arm or a leg, but then Voltron could still possibly just, defeat him.
Well, I mean, I thought that's kind of where we started off with, was just one Lion. Yeah. When it comes to like the whole Voltron thing, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to sign off.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get you guys next weekend, hopefully. Or actually, it's Super Bowl, so I might not.
Yeah, same here. I don't even watch football, but I got a Super Bowl party to go to. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have to catch you guys a week after.
Well, that's cool. Thank you for coming through once again, Charlie.
You're welcome. I enjoy it. So you guys have a good week and possibly 2 weeks, and see you next time.
Yeah, you too. Enjoy the Super Bowl.
Thank you. You too.
Cool. Well, a couple comments before we sign out. When Professor D says Fort Max might be bigger and stronger than Voltron, and his sword may be comparable in magic power. And he also says a well-animated aerial battle between Black Adam and Skywarp, depicting their firepower, physical strength, reaction time, and fighting skills as comparable would be awesome. Cool. Shiva Kobe says, cheers, guys. So he's saying cheers to Charlie. Yeah, so I think we too should probably start wrapping up. But I mean, before we go, like any like what promote your channel, like what do you have upcoming that you want to mention to everyone, and let people know.
All right. The channel is Toy Wart Vintage Reviews on YouTube. Obviously, I think you see that down below. Reviews on toys from anywhere from the 60s through the 90s. Mainly focused, though, on 80s toys, mainly focused on transportation-related toys. That's why I brought up the Bigfoots earlier, if anybody was around for that. Upcoming, I've actually want to do a series on the top 10 things I've learned from different cartoons from the 80s, starting off with Transformers. My fifth grade teacher was surprised that I knew what Aurora Borealis was. And it's only because I saw it in the Transformers episode. There's a lot of stuff I learned from watching Transformers episodes that, I probably wouldn't have learned anywhere else until much later in life. So, I got a video series coming up about that. And I just did a video on RetroCon. That is a video that covers a convention that happened here in Tampa that had all sorts of just cool old stuff. I mean, BMX, they had a whole BMX display and a whole BMX dealer place where you go buy the old BMX racers from like the 80s and 90s. If you ever seen like the movie Rad, bicycle motocross. They had a BMX display where they were riding the half pipe and doing all sorts of land tricks and stuff.
Nice. Okay.
They had a free to play arcade. All the stuff's in the video. Yeah. Check out the latest video. That's what that one's on.
Okay, cool. That's very cool. Yeah, definitely gonna watch that one because I mean it's a lot of nostalgia. Just like going through like all of the old stuff, and I mean like and especially a lot of your videos as well. Like you're just pulling out things and like, wow, I've not seen that toy since I was a child. I'm like, that's very cool. And
yeah, one of these days I'm going to be able to start a museum.
Oh, for sure. Shiva Kobla says, and they say Transformers G1 isn't educational.
See?
Exactly. Well, yeah, I would say definitely thank you once again for joining in. And actually, your mic has muted itself again. Let me see if I can unmute it. Nope. Yeah, your computer, or you have to unmute it again.
It's really cool that you can see that.
Yeah.
I can't because my computer's in the other room. I kind of fish my camera out here so I can do it in front of the case instead of my boring computer room.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, you wanted to wrap it up, and I'm a chatterbox. I'm sorry.
No, it's cool. But yeah, like I mean, yeah, it was definitely fun having you on again, and hopefully come through again. I know not next week because everyone's going to be tied up with the Super Bowl, but hopefully the week after.
Yeah, like I said, I don't watch football at all. I'm just going for the party.
I'm exactly the same way. I don't think I'm going to any parties, but I mean, I just I support whoever wins,
Yeah, kind of like me watching. Yes, I hope your team scores a basket in the end zone. Yeah.
Yep.
Sports. I don't get it. But you're wearing the hat you're wearing, isn't that Pittsburgh Pirates?
Yes, but I actually wear it because Chuck D from Public Enemy used to wear this hat.
Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it's like even back in the day, it's like I have like the odd, just cool looking jacket. And I'm like, okay, I like this jacket because one, no one else is wearing the same one as everybody else, and it just looks cool. Somebody's like, oh, you followed that team? I'm like, no, just the jacket looks cool.
I remember somebody gave me a Tampa Bay Bucks shirt, and I wore it one morning to go out garage sailing. When I do garage sailing, I pick up a lot of dirty stuff and move stuff and everything. And every garage sale I was going to, you people come up, go Bucks, go Bucks. And I couldn't figure it out. Like, what the hell is people saying this to me for? And finally, I realized, sports stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Then they get into the conversation of like, and so and all these stats and this and that. I'm like, yeah.
And I look at them like, and I'm the nerd.
Yep.
Pittsburgh Pirates, though, they actually train up in Bradenton, the next town up from me. And for 2 years, I got a job with them playing their mascot at the games.
Oh, sweet. How is that?
That is everyone should try it once. It is an absolute blast. It is more fun it's the most fun you can have with your clothes on. You can do anything to anybody and nobody cares. They just laugh at you. It's great.
I always thought that because I always thought, whoever's playing in those mascot suits, like when you don't see who they are, so you get away with anything, but you're just having just wild, silly fun for the entire time. And it's just, how hot do those suits get though?
Oh, I would lose 20 pounds over the course of their training season.
Wow.
I mean, you had to hydrate so well. And then it didn't help either because, everyone behind the scenes could see who it was in the costume because, they'd see me change into it or
Right.
they'd see me going in the room to do it and come back out. So like all the vendors and stuff, oh yeah, come on and get all the free beer and free food that you want, everything. So you'd hydrate up with water. And then as soon as you're afterwards, they're giving you like this keg of beer, Oh yeah, man, it physically, it's very demanding. It really is.
Okay.
If you're overweight and want to lose weight, yeah, just walk around one of those suits for a couple hours, man. A couple hours a day, and it'll take its toll on you.
You know what? That's a selling feature right there. It's like, why not? Like, if someone's wanting to lose weight, become a mascot for a sports team. Like, that's a workout, and you're getting paid for it.
Yes, and paid well. Holy crap! I was like, once they pay me for time, I like to check. Like, man, this is robbery. You can pay for this? Sure.
Hey, why not?
Absolutely. Oh my God. It was, like I said, it was so much fun. Oh, another thing to come out of it too was I got free meals at Hooters. The Hooters girls would be there. And of course, like the manager of the local restaurant would be there. And I ran up and I just, I kind of like, did the movements with the costume, looked around to see if anyone was looking, but obviously everyone's looking. And I literally like scooped up one of the Hooters girls and went running off with her in like an animated sense. And then, everyone's laughing. So I turn around to bring her back and set her down. And the manager comes up and he's looking into the hole that I look out. You can't see in it, but I can see out of it. And he's like, who's in there? Who's in there? I want you to come see me after the show. I'm thinking like, okay, well, I'm just doing my job, dude. I mean, why is this guy mad at me? So I come up to him after the show and I'm like, hey, you wanted to see me? And the guy's like, well, who are you? I'm the guy in the parrot outfit. Oh God, you're better than like the regular guy. Holy crap, dude. Anytime you want a meal, you and your family can come in and it's on us. It's on us. The whole thing. Come in whenever you want. So yeah, I mean, I lost 20 pounds, every time I played the parrot, but then I gained 30 eating the Hooters.
Oh, that's so cool. Like, I would have fun with that.
Oh, it was so much fun. Somebody one day, one of the workers there was squeegeeing the windows like right before, and I just thought of it. I grabbed the squeegee from him and I went running off, and I didn't bring it back to the guy. Every bald guy I could find, I did an imaginary squirt thing, and then I'd squeegee their head. I'm sorry. I'm rambling. I'm sorry.
So, it's think about it, like getting paid for having silly fun like that. Like, why not? Why not?
Yes. And like I said, paid well. God, I remember this is clear back in 08, 09.
I mean,
and even back then they were paying me $15 an hour.
Wow.
Now I didn't get to keep it because the guy who does it for a living in Pittsburgh, he decided to start coming down for the spring training and everything. So, and that guy was so crazy. He rode this like 3-wheeled trike thing from Pittsburgh down to Bradenton in costume.
Wait, how many hours is that? Or like of a drive?
God, it's got to be a good 20-hour drive. I mean, if you drove it straight, it's got to be a good 20 hours. Because I know it's 20 hours from here back to where I'm from in Ohio. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and he did. Yeah, he rode the whole way down. He didn't just ride in it like the sidecar. This dude was driving the thing in the parrot. What it is, it's a big parrot. Yeah, I was like, wow, that's dedication. He must get paid more than I do.
Wow. Well, let's see. Shiva Kobe says, but what? It was a commercial to sell toys, and Steven on YouTube says, considering I've done football photography for money last fall and will do it again this upcoming fall, I should at least watch some of the Super Bowl.
See, somebody that does their homework, unlike the AI.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe they. Well, it was fun playing around with the AI. I mean, it will feature it again, maybe a couple weeks or a few months from now. See what other questions we can ask it. But yeah, again, thank you for rolling through, and it's just it's a blast having you on as you always.
Yes, yeah. Thank you for having me on. Yeah, it's very much fun. Yeah.
Cool. And one last comment from Shiva Kobe. I roll my eyes at anyone who dismisses Transformers or any other 80s cartoon as merely a commercial to sell stuff.
I mean, you can, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Yep. I mean, now we understand that. We didn't as children, but we understand it now.
Well, like we were saying with the Bigfoot stuff earlier, they didn't have all the vehicles available when it first came out as Play School, but they added a vehicle or two and a couple other things to the line after Hasbro bought them, and the Hasbro's like, well, it's a Hasbro thing now. We got to make a cartoon. And, that's what they did, and that's what they were trying to sell during the cartoon was the Bigfoot toys.
Yeah. I still can't believe they were searching for the Fountain of Youth.
The Fountain of Youth. I mean, that's some lazy writing right there. And what's really beyond that,